guys, what's going on? Thank you so much for watching today. Welcome to another Planet Zoo speed build. It's been a little while, but today I wanted to jump into something a little bit different. So as you might notice, we really aren't in any one of my projects right now. I'm actually in a map that I have labeled the Africa Pack builds, and this was the blank map that I opened up when the Africa Pack launched, and it was just a blank map I was building in for African-inspired builds, and I decided that I wanted to jump back into that map today and just create a restaurant. So that's what we're doing. We're creating a kind of African-themed, inspired restaurant. Before we get too far into the build, I have to do my shameless self-promotion. If you are watching this, enjoying, leave a like down below, comment, all those YouTube-y things really do help me out. I greatly do appreciate it. And of course, that subscribe button. If you want to keep up to date with what I'm doing and don't want to miss out on any future content, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, and that'll make sure that you don't. Back on to what we're doing today. So I was working, as always, off of a reference picture, and this one was just a picture of a restaurant, and I decided that I was going to turn it into kind of like a restaurant overlooking a habitat. Now, you may notice that in the thumbnail and in the end of this video, we don't actually get to building the habitat part, and that's because this is going to be 2, if not 3 episodes long. It's going to be a little series, little mini series. So like I said, either 1 or 2 more episodes depending on what I get done. And the main reason for that is that I wanted to take my time and I wanted to be detailed. I wanted to think about all the little things that might go into this restaurant, and I wanted to make it pretty and like I said, detailed. I didn't want to just kind of slap something together. I really wanted to try my hand at using little pieces and bringing everything together while keeping realism in mind. So the first thing you might notice is all the railings that are alongside the path. So there are stairs up to the front of the restaurant, but then over to the left, there's also a ramp, and that way anybody that isn't able to use stairs is able to easily get up to the restaurant. But not only that, there's also seating up on top of this little platform area, and there's also seating down on ground level as well. So I wanted to keep that in mind, just again as a touch of realism, making this build accessible to anybody and everybody that would be visiting this zoo that would want to come and eat here. So that was kind of the idea behind that. That was directly taken off of the reference picture that I was using, and apologies, I don't actually know where the reference picture came from. I totally forgot to check. So I have no idea what zoo it's from, but I'm pretty sure it is from an actual zoo. So if this looks familiar to you guys at all, let me know down below, and you guys might actually know what zoo it came from. But really, we're just going to go through and build the front facade of this building. Inside has nothing in it. There are no facilities. I also didn't run path work on this at all either. I really wanted to just sit down and do some building. I didn't really want to worry about making it usable in game or anything like that. I absolutely love playing Planet Zoo, clearly, because that is one of the staple games here on the channel, but there's some times where I'm just in the mood to build with the building pieces and not kind of fuss with any of the in-game mechanics or anything like that, and that was definitely what I was in the mood for when building this little restaurant here. I did, however, go ahead and put this up on the workshop for you guys so that you could take a look at it. You could put facilities in it if you'd like. You can run paths. I will say the one thing that doesn't copy over, though, is I do use actual like tables and chairs and things like that and trash cans, like the guest facilities. That's obviously not going to transfer over because they don't transfer over in blueprints. So if you do want to make it usable and add those tables, chairs, things like that, you'll have to run the pathing yourself. So if you'd like to make it usable, you are more than welcome to do so. And if you do, go ahead and tag me, send me pictures. I'd love to see what you do with this. But here we're starting to work on kind of like the little outdoor seating area. And I end up changing this roof. I end up stealing the roof from the rhino habitat that is in this map because I like the South America thatching just a little bit more. It just had like the color tones that I was looking for, where whereas the African ones have very warm, yellowy orange tones. The other one's almost like greeny, kind of. You'll know the difference when you see it when I bring that one over. It's just kind of a more subtle thatching to it. You can actually see it down in the menu right now. But I thought it fit a little bit better, and I had already made a circular version of it for the rhino habitat, so it made it really easy to transfer over to this one, to this build as well, because then I didn't have to figure out the circular symmetry tricks or anything like that. It was kind of already done for me, which was nice because sometimes that takes me quite a while to figure out. What else did I want to talk about with this build? I had a few things, and I should have written them down. I know myself better. Because we don't have any animals, I can't actually talk about any animal facts. But, oh, that's right. That's the one thing I did want to ask you guys. So I want this to be an animal overview seating area, so like a seating area overlooking an animal habitat. So I kind of have an idea for a habitat that wraps around the back of this building, and I want to make it so maybe it's one that you really only see when you sit down to eat here. Maybe there are 2 of this habitat and this is just the exhibit that you get to see while eating here, but I don't actually have my heart set on any animal yet. So do let me know what you think down below. Obviously I would like to go for kind of an African safari themed animal. I was thinking, cheetah or lion. I mean, heck, if you guys really have your heart set on it, maybe we could do aardvark. Although I think for a whole restaurant, I think a zoo would not put a whole lot of money into an aardvark habitat, considering that they're nocturnal animals and they probably wouldn't come out during the day all that often. But yeah, just let me know what you guys think. Maybe if you guys want like a mixed hoof stock, maybe it could be giraffes, maybe anything. I'm really open to anything, and I don't have my heart set on a specific design other than like the shape of it. So I'll kind of try to cater it to what animal we end up picking, or whatever animal we end up picking. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below which animal you'd like to see. And then depending, I mentioned either a 2 or 3 episode kind of little series here. And that's mostly just because I want to make sure I leave myself time to get all the details in that I wanted to. I shared a picture with this, or a picture of this with Estan and Drew a little bit earlier today. And Drew reminded me that we have those wonderful decals, and I completely forgot about them. He mentioned that the decals on the side of the building would make it just have that little bit of extra detail that I'm looking for, and he's completely right. I don't understand why I forgot about them, but that is something that I do need to add. I also do want to add a little bit of signage to the build, so whether that's, billboards and advertising, other parts of the zoo, or putting a menu out on the front, or, whatever it may be. I just think adding some of those things will help bring this build to life a little bit. So let me know all your thoughts, like I said, because I still have plans to finish this building. Excuse me, I have something in my throat. I did, however, put this on the workshop already, so as it is now, if you guys wanted to take it and run with it, if you're happy with how it is and you have an idea to go in a different direction, you're welcome to download that from the workshop. It's on the workshop now, and it's marked as friends only, so hopefully, fingers crossed, I have remembered to put it to public, and if I haven't, gently do remind me, please, because I am absolutely awful when it comes to remembering to put things up on the workshop and stuff for you guys. So please don't be afraid to remind me. You can see here, working on a little bit of the details here and there, really loving those little shutter pieces we got with the Europe pack, and using those as, little shutters, I guess, awnings. Awnings is probably a better word, for the little front area there. I wanted it to have like kind of a little foyer? Is that how you say it? Is that the word? Like a little front porch kind of thing, right? It's not really a porch though. It's just kind of like a front little alcove. Wanted it to have like a front little alcove area before you actually get into the restaurant. And then of course, because of how much I dislike interiors, we are not touching the interior of this whatsoever. Don't even suggest it. I don't want to do it, so I'm not going to. But the outside of it, I wanted it to obviously have a front door so it looks like you could get into the building. Here I've moved on and I've brought over those thatched pieces from the Rhino pack. This is actually the second half of when I sat down to build. So I built for about an hour and a half the first session and about an hour and a half the second session. So this overall, where we've gotten to, took me about 3 hours or so. So we're on that second session that I actually did earlier today. I'm recording this the day before this video goes out. And you can see the color tones on the thatch from the South America pack, I think just fit it a little bit better. Then for the kind of cover on the right-hand side of the restaurant, I went ahead and used the slightly more slanted. I forget exactly what the numerical value is to it, but the slightly more slanted roof pieces just to give it a little bit more height. And then I also end up raising the left-hand side of the building where the flat roof is just a little bit more because I wanted a little bit of height variation, but I also wanted to make sure that it was differentiated from the slanted roof part a bit. I ended up giving it some trim, and the thing that I'm struggling with right now is that on the reference picture, there's very clearly this like painted on sign where it's kind of like it was spray painted at one point, but it's very weathered and worn. And I don't know how I'm gonna get, because it's very flat because it's just painted on the side of the building. I don't really know if I'm going to be able to recreate something like that. Maybe with a billboard we might be able to do it, but it's almost kind of like a graffiti style sign. So again, if you have any ideas, I know I'm asking for a lot of opinions in this video, but if you have any ideas on that, that would be the only thing that I'm really struggling with. I love these temple pieces just flipped upside down. Look like fantastically detailed, just kind of like concrete flooring. This is a trick I think I actually learned from Estan a while ago. But it's been a go-to ever since when I'm doing kind of these safari type builds or adventure type builds that need kind of like a textured, I don't want it to be flat concrete, I don't want it to be solid colored concrete, I want it to have a little bit of interest to it. So yeah, those temple pieces flipped upside down are perfect for that. And then just doing this very simple roped off railing. Again, I got this idea from the reference picture just to kind of fence in some of our foliage, our planting here. I try to do some very simple planting, using some African plants and things like that, just to give it a little bit of greenery, but also some shade as well. I mean, it does have tons of shade from the awnings anyway, but I think it turns out really nicely. Plans for around this area that we're doing here, so the seating area on the right hand side. I do want to do a planter that kind of is a narrow planter that goes all the way around the perimeter of this circular shade structure here that kind of separates you from whatever animal it is we're going to be viewing. So if it's giraffes, I'll probably drop the terrain down a bunch and have it so that the giraffes come over like eye level to this little section. If it's not, then I probably won't do that because not every other animal is tall enough to see over something like that. I might slope it like up and back away from the restaurant so that it's kind of like on a hill, so wherever the animals are, you have an easy time viewing them. But those are just my ideas for like what animals might be good for something like this. But just moving these little temple pieces into kind of a circular pattern. And I'm not too fussy with where they end up being because I'm going to surround and do that little skinny planter area with mulch. So I'm not worried about the little corners sticking out or anything like that because they'll be hidden underneath the mulch. And the mulch is a much smaller piece. It's not like this I think these are 4 meter long squares. And so the mulch pieces being much smaller will be very easy to get detailed in like that circular area. We're moving on to a little bit of planting because I can't go very long without putting some planting down. I need the greenery, I need the contrast of the green and everything to kind of bring this to life a little bit. I'm using the fever tree because it's still to this day one of my favorites. I absolutely love the color and the texture of it. I started by using, I think those are the Brazil nut saplings. You can see I started off using those, but I quickly changed to whatever the heck these trees are called. I totally forget what their name is. But using these trees because I just like the color a little bit more, and they just reminded me more of kind of like a safari feel. Like they're a little bit more rugged looking, not so trimmed. Like I didn't want this to look like a combination between like specifically planted plants and like manicured landscaping, but then also like a little bit not, if that makes sense. And it just felt like kind of the scraggly look of these trees. They look a little bit more mature, and they fit just a little bit better. And overall, I am very happy with them. I kind of toy with changing the left one to the acacia sapling, because I like the color of that one too, and it very clearly fits in because it's an African tree, but I go back to whatever the heck this tree is called because it ends up looking the best. And really, honestly, from here on out, it's just kind of finishing up some of the rough details around the edges, just because I knew I was going to try to put this on the workshop and I wanted it to be kind of more or less complete enough where if you have a current project and you can kind of just fit this in, it would be really easy to kind of mesh this into whatever your project is right now. Whereas if I go any further and I start doing like the surrounding stuff, it might be a little bit harder to mesh it together. So just kind of wanted to put some like borders around everything, kind of tie everything up with a nice little bow. And then going through and doing my very best at some clutter objects. So I put a couple little vases here with some flowers in them, and then I eventually find the like bamboo Africa pieces. I'm gonna find them here in just a minute. Not these, because I didn't like how you couldn't see the tables and chairs from down below, so I ended up getting rid of those. I do need to do some sort of railing though, because it's rather low. I just don't know what yet, but I find these bamboo pieces, these ones here, and I do a little bit of bordering on the bottom of the building just to give it a little bit of interest. Like I said, I was looking for areas to kind of really up the detail on this build, and I think I did an okay job. Again, I think the top of the building needs a little bit more detail. Those decals all over the place I think will really start to bring this to life. I'll put a couple cracks. Maybe it can be some exposed brick, because this could be like a brick building that was plastered over, or of course implied that it was, you know, if this is a zoo, then it's going to be kind of built and themed out to however they want it to be. I don't think they would spend all the money to do an actual brick building only to show a couple little spots of it, right? It's going to be very much like Disney magic type theming for that. But I do agree, I think that would give a whole lot more detail. The back of the building is going to stay very plain because it's going to be facing the habitat, so there would be no reason for the zoo to put any kind of time and effort into making the back of the building look pretty. I might extend off the back of it for like a shelter for the animals or something like that, but for the most part the night house might be on the other side of the habitat, so it's kind of facing the restaurant. But yeah, we are almost done. There are just a couple little cinematic shots at the very end. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. If you did enjoy, leave a like down on the video, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on part 2 and or part 3. And then yeah, that's about it. So until next time, you guys, I will talk at you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.